Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this first impressions walkthrough and unboxing of sorts of the 5-cent tarot. So this arrived just today. This was a Kickstarter that I backed and I took it out of its like plastics and things like that for the most part, but this is essentially how it came in the box, which is really cool. It comes with this sort of velour bag, but let me get right into it. So this Kickstarter was a pretty cool one, I think. The communication was great throughout. And I have to say, this bag as a stretch goal is a pretty cool perk. A lot of times the bags that come as extras and things like that in Kickstarters tend to be a little bit on the flimsy side. So this is a little bit nicer. It's still not a peggy bag, and you guys know I'm really biased, but it's pretty nice for coming in like, and I love this like 5-cent logo here. Very, very cool, and I love the colors. Totally an aesthetic match for the deck. So it also came with a little sort of intro sheet, I guess, or welcome sheet with a thank you note. Greetings and thanks. This deck is by Madame Clara. All reviews tagged with hashtag 5-cent tarot through the end of 2019 are entered into a random drawing for a free deck. Cool. Neat. So that came in there, and then we have this certificate of authenticity. This is deck 73 of 1,000, and there's this really cool like 5-cent sticker on the back. Love that. And then there were these extra cards that came just loose, which is kind of cool. So in my deck we have with my package, the Knight of Needles, the Strength card, the 10 of Cups, the 6 of Matches, and the 6 of Needles. So that's really cool. So you can see already kind of the style of this deck. This is what the backings look like. They're this sort of pale, almost olive green, and I do feel like they're a linen finish. So I'm going to move this stuff aside and we're going to get into the box. Oh, but first there was one more extra that came with it. Oh, two more extras that came with this deck. So first there was this little pin. These are really nice. I love these, I love it when decks include these as extras because I think they're really, really fun. Check this out. It's a really nice quality enamel pin. It looks like it's got a little slot there for your nickel. I love that. I may pin that on the bag. We'll have to see. And then this, I believe, is a reading cloth. It also came with the deck. As usual, it's a really, really thin material. Think your sort of lightweight handkerchief kind of material, but it's got that all-seeing eye on the front of it. Did I just put it upside down? I think it's the same. I think it's reversible. So that is what the border looks like. These kinds of cloths can be really nice, especially if you don't have a reading cloth in your collection. Again, I'm a fabric snob because I have Peggy. I may ask her to back this on something a little heavier so that I can make better use of it, but it is really cool and it does definitely match the aesthetic of the deck, which is super fun. I suppose you could also use it as an actual scarf. So here we are with our box. Madame Clara Sees All, first edition, past, present, future. 78 plus 4 bonus cards. I like that the box has a minimum of stuff on it, and it's a very immersive deck. It sort of brings you into its world, which I really like. It's 5-cent tarot. And then when you open the box, oops, I bumped my camera, ask the cards. And then we have a little guidebook here, which I'll look at this at the end. And here's our cards. I love this style of box. By the way, I know I've mentioned it before on my channel, but I love these ones with the like magnetic closure all in one piece like this. And this one feels really good and sturdy. So that's awesome. Set that aside. Look at the edging. So I believe there were some choices in the deck about what your backs were. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they all have the same backs. I can't remember now. But there was definitely voting happening throughout. There was voting on the back style. There was voting on what color for the edging. And I think there may have been some options for backers in the campaign. There's just a little bow or gap right there that I am noticing in the viewfinder. But like to the naked eye, it's actually a little bit less noticeable than it is on camera. Again, these feel like a really nice linen cardstock. It's not a super rough linen. It's kind of a smoother linen finish, but you can definitely see the bit of texture on the backs. I just love the sort of vintage feel of these cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out. I've got my Rider-Waite Centennial deck here, and we're going to just do a side-by-side flip through. Now this deck is very, very keyword heavy. So if you are not a fan of keywords, you're probably not going to be a huge fan of this deck. The keywords are actually something that I love about it. Boom. Bring this in here. There we go. All right, so first we have, let's see if I can bring us in even a little bit closer. Oh man. This is gonna be hard for me to do because I'm like, do I see it better in the viewfinder? All right, so here's our Fool. New Beginnings, upright. Now what's cool about this deck, I should point this out, this is one of the things I really like about this deck. I normally don't read with reversals, but with these cards, you have an upright keyword. I'm just going to tell my camera to focus in the right spot here. An upright keyword, primary keyword, and then you also have upright other keywords. So for the Fool, it's New Beginnings, Free Spirit, Spontaneity. When you flip the card over, you have a reversed keyword of recklessness and then some sub keywords, naivete and risk. I love this. I think that's a really cool mechanic for the deck. The Fool features a frog sort of leaping. There's a lot of little symbols you can play with. There's also foliage. I believe those are clover. Somebody who knows plants better maybe can say, but you've also got the Roman numeral sort of up here. It's not on the bottom. So that's sort of the anatomy of the deck. So we have a frog for the Fool, New Beginnings. For our Magician, we have a Spider. Spiders are great magicians, I think. Master of skill, resourceful, but then reversed we have deception, manipulation, unfocused. So I'm not going to read them all, but that gives you a general idea. We have an Owl for our High Priestess. Love that. And the primary keyword up here is inner voice. Oh, and I love repression for the reversed keyword. Okay, I might not read them all. We'll see. For the Empress, motherhood. And then what is that? Dependence. Oh, interesting. I love here that we have the sort of butterfly imagery. But look at this heart with the lock. It's still that sort of protective shield sort of image here. We still have the wheat. Love that. For the Emperor, what kind of bird is this? Oh man. I feel like I should know too. We have authority. And then reversed we have control. So good. Oh. It's really the words that grab me on this deck. The Hierophant. Oh, that's interesting. It's like a praying mantis, but he very much looks like the Pope there. That's really cool. Wisdom and indiscretion. Ooh. For the Lovers, we have relationships. We also have disharmony in the reverse. Determination for the Chariot and self-discipline for the reverse. Love this otter. Look at him with the snake, sorry. Influence. Weakness. Influence is an interesting keyword. What other keywords do we have here? Control and compassion, and then underneath we have self-doubt and insecurity. Oh, that's really interesting. I love that. For the Hermit here, is that a fish? So I'm looking at the viewfinder. You guys have a way better view than mine because you can make it big. Oh, soul searching, withdrawal. This is a really cool deck. Destiny and misfortune for the Wheel of Fortune. For Justice, we have cause and effect and injustice. Perspective, yes, love that. And resistance, such a good reverse keyword. Endings, stagnation, yes, because a lot of times in the death card, when we're resisting the energy of death, we're stagnating, right? We're not letting go of things that we need to let go of. Things aren't moving, we're stuck. Really interesting. What are the other keywords on this one? Beginnings and transition, but in reverse we have resistance and fear of change. Oh, so good. This would be a really great deck for a beginner just learning the meanings because you have that light and shadow. Patience and imbalance in the reverse. For the Devil, we have restriction or we have detachment. Oh, that's scarab beetle, or is that what kind of beetle is that? Self-control, release, fear. It's literally, it's the words that grab me for sure. In the Tower, we have upheaval. What is this? Resisting change again? Interesting. I feel like resisting change was also in the Death card, wasn't it? Let's see. Oh no, that's the Devil. Let me just check this. I'm just curious now. I thought in Death... Oh, fear of change, not resistance. Not resisting change. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, because the Tower, it's like, what are we doing about it? I don't know. That makes sense in my head. I don't know if it makes sense out loud. That's really cool. I love this sort of tower of tortoises and other animals, and it's very precarious. Here we have our star. We have a starfish. That's really cute. We have renewal up top and discouragement down below. You can see there's not a lot of imagery that coincides that much, except as soon as I say that, now there is. So we have the dog and we have the wolf, or the other way around. Again, viewfinder. And then we have repression and subconscious. Wait. Yeah, subconscious and repression. Then we have intuition, illusion, and then underneath confusion and fear. So good for the moon. Happiness and discontent. I wonder if they have anything about authenticity here. Optimism, pessimism, mania, joy. Interesting. I really see authenticity in the Sun card. Judgment, we have rebirth, and then we have... Oh, what is that word? Yeah, my eyes are not the best. Indecision? Indecision. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Again, in Judgment, we're sort of stepping out of the known into the unknown, or sorry, into the unknown, but we're also leveling up, right? In the World, we have this completion, which is the key word. And what is this one? Let's see. Disappointment. Oh, okay. Harmony. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit lost in the images as I'm flipping through them. I'm sure this is painfully slow. Okay, so now we actually get into some extra cards. So I'm just going to bring these up. I think there's 4 of them. Yeah, there's 4 of them. Okay, so we have the unknown, which is divine faith or egotism. We also have openness. These were voted on, and I think stretch goal was to have like 1, and then there was more stretch goals met, so we ended up getting all 4. We also have here the beyond. I love this. The soul and apathy. Higher being, belief, but we also have doubt and mistrust. In the universe, we have infinite growth and decadence. Evolution, possibilities, stagnation again, and is that, what does that one say? Regress. Oh, I see, that's the universe. And then we have the messenger. I love this. Spirit guides. We have protection, divine signs, disregard, unreceptive, and ignorance. All right, so now, oh, is there one more? No, this is it. Okay, so now we're into the minors, and we're starting with the wands. Now, they've been renamed into matches in this deck. So we have here Ace of Matches, Inspiration, and Distraction. Oh, that's so good. Distraction is the shadow of the Ace of Wands, is really makes so much sense to me. In the Two of Wands, progression, indecision. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna have to go quicker, you guys. The Three of Wands, we have foresight. So I shouldn't cover it up. And obstacles. Celebration, of course. Yes, we still have that structure. And leaving home. Oh, interesting, leaving home. Five of Matches, conflict and compromise. Love compromise for the reverse of the Five of Wands. Acclaim and arrogance for the 6. So good. Challenge and exhaustion. Oh, isn't that the truth? 8 of Wands, we have movement and slowing down for the reverse. Oh, I'm a little out of frame there. Sorry, guys. In the 9, we have resilience and exhaustion. Oh, my pile's getting a little out of control. Just straighten it up a little. I hope it's useful to see it side by side with the Rider-Waite. I'm not speaking much to the Rider-Waite because this does sort of go its own way. Size-wise, you can see these are the same size as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. So we have accomplishment and delegation. Yes, for the 10 of Wands reversed. Oh, man. So now we get into the quartz. So let's see how they've done keywords here. So we have free spirit for the Page of Wands and setbacks in the reverse. Page of Matches, I should say. In the Knight of Matches, we have adventure, yes, and recklessness. Now that's interesting. This shows the knight, almost like the chess piece knight, but it's the horse. And here we have what looks like a peacock in the Page of Wands. Here's the knight. The bee for the queen, yes, courage and self-doubt. I know somebody who would love seeing the bee as the Queen of Wands. All right. Born leader for the King of Matches and poor leader in reverse. For the Ace of Cups, we have creativity and intuition, but we also have new love, compassion. I love the sub keywords. They just add so much. In the reversed, we have self-love. It's interesting that the reverse of the Ace of Cups doesn't go really anywhere negative, I don't think. The only place we have repression and self-love and intuition. That's interesting. So it goes a couple different places that way. In the Two of Cups, we have partnership and disharmony. Sorry, I think I keep cutting off the bottom keyword. Sorry, guys. Three of Cups, we have friendship and impudence. Is that what that says? Independence. Oh boy, you guys. Lisa needs glasses. I've tried my readers, but this is like at just that right distance where it's like my readers aren't helping and I don't have my distance glasses here. So here we have meditation for the Four of Cups, yes, and withdrawal. Although meditation is usually a keyword I would associate with the Four of Swords. So I'd be curious to see what they have there, but I do get that. It's like there's a contentedness. We also have apathy, retreat, contemplation, and acceptance. So there's some other words to work with there too. In the Five of Cups, we have disappointment or moving on in the reverse. Innocent and forgiveness in the Six. Opportunity and illusions in the Seven. Abandonment and avoidance. Ooh, yes. Wish come true. This is one of my very favorite cards in any deck. The Nine of Cups is like one of my cards that I really have to resonate with, and to be honest, the Rider-Waite-Smith is not my favorite. But here we have some peacocks in full bloom. In full bloom, what do you say when their tails are, you know, all the way open? We have contentment, we have gratitude, but in the reverse we have dissatisfaction and materialism and overindulgence, which totally speaks to the energy of this card for me. In the 10, we have family bliss or dysfunction, spot on. The Page of Cups, curiosity versus immaturity. In the Knight, we have charmer versus heartbreaker. This deck would be, I feel like this deck would be really, really good for working with clients. In the Queen of Cups, we have compassion or we have martyrdom. In the King, we have, wait, didn't we just have compassion? Compassion, and we also have compassion in the King. Interesting. So here we have compassion or we have heartless. Here we have compassion or we have martyrdom. Sorry, let me just show these side by side here. So they're carrying the same primary keyword. That's the first place I've seen that happen in the deck. That's a little bit mildly disappointing. I don't know if they're going to do that. Did they do that in the Wands too? Let's take a look. I'm just curious now if it was intentional. Do the Queen and the King and the Wands have the same keyword? No, they don't. Okay, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I wish there would have been a different word to differentiate the King, because I'm a big fan of having a single keyword for every card in the tarot. And in this case, I would say I'd probably go with, well, they've also got control and balance for the King. So I might go with balance, perhaps. I'm not sure. That's interesting. And then we're back into, oh, wrong suit. We need swords next. Okay, so we're into needles. So they've renamed the sword suit needles. In the Ace, we have breakthrough versus confusion. In the 2, decision versus indecision, spot on. In the 3, we have heartbreak versus forgiveness. So again, forgiveness in the shadow, which this was the shadow word of the Six of Cups, I believe. I mean, it's got to be hard to have such a word-heavy deck, but at the same time, yeah, we have forgiveness as the shadow of the Six of Cups. I would have preferred that the primary ones, I don't mind if the sub ones overlap, but the primary ones, it would have been nice to have unique. The Four of Swords versus the Four of Needles. So we have relaxation versus exhaustion. Disagreement and reconciliation for the Five of Swords, or Five of Needles in this deck. In the 6, we have Rite of Passage, and we have resisting change again. So remember, we had resisting change also in the Wheel of Fortune, I believe. Or was it Death? Oh, it wasn't the primary, so we're good. Okay. But that is good for the 6. For the 7, we have Betrayal and Confession. Oh, that's interesting. In the 8, Imprisonment versus Self-Acceptance. And that's really cool because a lot of times in Eight of Swords, different decks have depicted the Eight of Swords with somebody in front of a mirror, which is one of my favorite ways to depict the Eight of Swords. So to see it called self-acceptance in the shadow or in the reverse, that's really a cool way to show that. I am sliding these all over the place. All right, so now we're into our Nine of Swords, and we have hopelessness versus letting go. In the 10, backstabbing versus regeneration. Regeneration is such a great word for the reverse of the 10. Because in the 10, it's very dramatic and we're feeling very screwed over. But in reality, if we flip that on its head a little bit and look at the opposite of that energy, we're definitely looking at healing. The Page of Needles, we have restlessness and manipulation. Ooh, interesting. In the Knight of Swords, we have unstoppable versus unpredictable. That's perfect for the swords. Knight of Swords. For the Queen of Swords, we have clear of mind or cold of heart in the reverse. In Chris Ann Donnelly's Lightseers Tarot, she shows the Queen of Swords seated and her heart is literally locked up in a cage underneath her throne. And I thought that's a really interesting depiction of the Queen of Swords energy. In the King of Swords, we have discipline versus manipulation. Ace of Pentacles, we have opportunity versus warning. In the 2, balancing act versus spinning plates. Oh, interesting. And I should have said, this is buttons. They've renamed the Pentacles buttons, so you see these buttons throughout. I love the vintage, I really love the vintage feel of this deck. It's really fun. Collaboration versus disharmony in the 2 of Pentacles, which is interesting because that's similar to the energy we saw, I believe, in the Lovers card. I think disharmony was the reverse keyword. Yeah, disharmony was also the reverse keyword of the Lovers. But that's interesting here because we do see collaboration. That's my primary keyword for that card as well. Conservation, yes, thank you, versus greed. You know, the 4 of Pentacles often shows greed as the primary energy, but conservation is definitely a word I would apply to that card. In the 5, we have hardship versus recovery. In the 6, generosity versus unpaid debt. There should be some interesting other shadow words actually here. I'm just curious. Charity for the upright, sharing for the upright, and then we have self-care and stinginess in the reverse. Interesting. So different ways to look at the card, which I appreciate that the keywords aren't necessarily all harmonious with one another. I think the idea is to kind of, what do your eyes gravitate towards first when you're reading? So you can kind of zone in on what the energy is of that card, but it's not always all positive in the upright, all negative in the reverse, or vice versa. It's definitely a mix so that you have different ways to look at the card, whether it's upright or reversed. In the 7, we have perseverance and we have aimlessness. In the 8, apprentice versus perfectionist. Or perfectionism. Yeah, perfectionist. In the 9, abundance and overextended. In the 10, we have share the wealth and insecurity. The Page of Buttons, dream endeavor versus procrastination. In the Knight, we have responsibility, which is definitely a word I associate with the Knight of Pentacles, versus rut and routine. Ooh, yeah, he can get his feet stuck in the mud for sure. In the Queen of Buttons, we have nurturing, yes, versus independence. In the King, we have abundance versus indulgence. Oh, okay, I'm gonna set the Rider-Waite-Smith aside. I hope that having that out for comparison was useful, but I am really, really, really loving these. So animal-wise, I feel like the animals kind of almost fade into the background for me with this deck. But we have frog, spider, owl, butterfly. I don't know what kind of bird this is. We'll have to look. I'm pretty sure that's a praying mantis of some kind. We have the moth and the snake and the apple. Yeah, there's like a little seal there. There's like 4 animals here in different positions. I was really focused on the words first flip through, and I kind of missed a lot of the animals. I noticed this precarious tower. I like that the sun has this like lizard out in the sun, although it's interesting that he's like on a horse. It definitely has this, sorry, I'm kind of pointing out of frame here. Let's pull it back just a little. The extra cards are definitely cool. The unknown, the beyond, the universe, and the messenger, all really good. Oops. It doesn't look like there's any particular, like it's not like there's only birds in the swords and, you know, fiery. I was going to say fiery animals. Is there any fiery animals? Ants in the 5 of matches is really interesting. But I don't think I really thought too much about the animal associations as we went through, because I was so focused on the keywords and just the overall look. The 4 of Cups being the crab is pretty great. 6 of Cups, playful dolphins. That makes sense. Is that a bat? I think it is in the 2 of Needles. This is definitely, oh look at this, we've got a raccoon, but it looks like it's got 2 heads. Porcupine in the 10 of Swords, or 10 of Needles. There's a bunny. Yeah, it's got a very kind of like circus, kind of different feel. And that's exactly the aesthetic that attracted me to this deck. It definitely feels, and I love this too, because you get a lot of the pips are done, sorry I'm interrupting myself, but a lot of the pips are arranged in sort of what looks to be maybe a Marseille fashion, which is something else I didn't pick up on right away, but it makes sense. The 2, well, we're into quartz. Let's take a look at some of the other pips here. The cups maybe not so much, but I think, yeah, I think through the swords, it's kind of, it comes and it goes. A lot of the swords, though, are in a fairly Marseille-ish kind of arrangement, which is really cool. I don't know about the wands. Were the wands as well? Those are the majors. Yeah, the wands also have a Marseille-like arrangement, which I wasn't really focusing on when we flipped through. I really was focused primarily on the words. Let's see how this guy shuffles, and then I'll draw a card. We'll take a quick look at the guidebook. Oh, there go my feathers and my candle flames. Oh, that shuffles really nice. It's not super stiff. You get a really nice mix. It's definitely linen finish. It, like, the cards just glide over one another. I'm gonna move these feathers before I blow them into one of my candles here. All right, let's zoom it out. Whee! Okay, let's take a look at the guidebook and then we'll draw a card here. So it's fairly thin, but I don't think I'm going to use the guidebook a whole lot, to be completely honest with you. I mean, with all the words on the cards like that. But let's see what the guidebook looks like. So we have our contents, we have a little introduction, and it looks like there's a message from Madame Clara, and then we go right into the cards. Is there any spreads or anything like that? Let's check the end. It feels like a fairly thin paper. There's a thank you note. So let's do a quick little single card draw, and we'll just take a look at what the message in the guidebook reads like, because of course we have single words right on the cards, so we don't need that. So let's just cut it and see what we've got. The universe. Oh good, it's one of the extra cards. So let's see what the guidebook has to say. I'll go ahead and zoom you in on that so you have something pretty to look at while I look this up. Okay, here's what the guidebook has to say. This card is about infinite growth on a higher level, as represented by the remarkably perfect mathematics of the Nautilus. It's about seeking grand possibilities far beyond the immediate world. In reverse, we are called out for stunting our own spiritual evolution and lacking a growth mindset. Very, very cool. Wow, I am really excited to really put this one through its paces. I have a feeling this is going to be a really great one to use in a divinatory way, like in a predictive way. I feel like this is going to be excellent for client readings. I just feel like it's going to be really relatable and easy to work with. I'm really excited to get a chance to work with this one. I'm so glad I backed this deck. I think it's going to be an absolute joy. I would love to hear what you guys think of it down below. Did you back this one? Is this one you're interested in picking up? Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the keywords? Did they resonate for you? Do you think that they missed the mark? Let me know. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will see you all again really, really soon. Bye!